The content in this video is for general educational use. It does not represent political opinions or judgments about any country, culture, or government. Information is based on publicly available sources and may be summarized or simplified. Viewers should verify details through multiple sources.
Cambodia is in the middle of a massive digital transformation, and it's a journey that really promises two completely different futures. One is a future of seamless, incredible innovation, and the other, well, it's a future that looks a lot more like digital incarceration. I want you to just imagine for a moment a city that anticipates your every need. It smooths out your commute, it keeps you safe. A city that runs on data, making life feel effortless and efficient. Now, this is the promise of the so-called smart city, this hyper-connected society. But to even consider accepting this promise, we have to start by asking a difficult question. So, to really understand what's at stake here, we're going to have to peel back the layers. We'll begin with the official vision, what's being promised. Then we'll look at the tools being used to actually build it. From there, things get a little more complicated. We'll have to confront this question of trust, and we'll examine a global blueprint that it all seems to be following. And that will lead us to the potential price of all this progress. It'll bring us right back to that fundamental choice. Is this innovation, or is it incarceration? Okay, so the story starts, as it often does, with an official, very optimistic vision. It's all laid out in Cambodia's national policy frameworks. The stated goal, it's clear, it's ambitious. The government's plan runs all the way to 2035, and the idea is to use digital technology to spark new economic growth, to improve social welfare, and to build a modern, civilized society for what they're calling the new normal. And when you actually look at the diagrams of how this vision is structured, you see it's designed to be a complete ecosystem. You've got citizens, businesses, and the government all interacting through one central digital platform. The engine for this whole system is data, and that data is meant to drive everything from how the country is governed to how it innovates. On paper, it looks like a perfect loop of efficiency. So the question is, how is this digital society actually being built? What are the specific tools they're deploying on the ground? Well, these are really the pillars of the whole transformation. We are talking about smart cities with integrated sensors everywhere, a single national digital ID for every single citizen, high-speed 5G connectivity, artificial intelligence running public services. You see the pattern here? Everything is designed to be connected, to be centralized, and to be cashless. And this isn't just a theory on a whiteboard somewhere. The Smart Siem Reap project is a real-world example. It's happening right now. A central data platform is being used to tackle everyday city problems. CCTV cameras with image recognition can spot illegal parking. Data helps optimize waste collection routes. And this is a clear illustration of the promise, right? The promise of efficiency and better city management. But all of this convenience, all this connectivity, and all this efficiency, it's all built on just one resource, a massive, continuous flow of data. Data about citizens, about businesses, about the environment. And this is where the narrative starts to shift. It's this one question that really changes everything, because that promise of a seamless digital life, it depends entirely on who holds the data, who can access it, and, crucially, what rules they have to play by. Now, when we look at the legal landscape, a pretty critical gap appears. This World Bank data compares Cambodia to its neighbors in the region, and you see it right there. While pretty much every other country on the list has established laws for data protection and cybercrime, Cambodia's frameworks are still in draft form. The technology is being built much, much faster than the rules that are meant to govern it. And that's really the crucial point here. Cambodia's constitution does recognize a right to privacy, but a right without a specific enforceable law is, it's more of a suggestion than a shield. It leaves these vast amounts of data being collected in a kind of legal gray area. This gap, it's probably not just an oversight. To really understand its potential significance, we need to zoom out and look at a global model that uses these exact same technologies for a very different purpose. A model that has come to be known as digital authoritarianism. And let's be very clear about what this means. This isn't just about censoring websites. It's the systematic use of surveillance, data collection, and AI, not just to watch citizens, but to actually shape their behavior, to preempt dissent before it even starts, and to solidify political control. According to analysis from places like the Brookings Institution and others, there's a primary innovator and exporter of this model. China hasn't just developed these systems for its own domestic use, it's also made the technology and the strategy available to other governments around the world. This isn't some abstract academic concept. It has profound human consequences. Look at this. This is a letter signed by Dr. Li Wenliang in Wuhan. He was a doctor who tried to warn his colleagues about a new, dangerous virus. But the system, which is designed for information control, didn't see him as a whistleblower. It saw him as a threat to social stability. He was reprimanded by the police and forced to sign this letter, admitting to spreading rumors. He later died from the very virus he was trying to warn people about. Okay, so let's bring this global blueprint back to Cambodia. When you place the tools of transformation we talked about right next to the legal gaps and the available models of control, a very different picture of progress starts to emerge. A key piece of this puzzle is something called the National Internet Gateway, or NIG. Analysts at the Asia Center have described it in pretty stark terms. They're calling it a step toward a complete authoritarian takeover of its digital landscape. So how does it work? Well, the gateway is built on three really powerful principles. First, it centralizes all internet traffic in the country through a single government-controlled choke point. Second, it gives authorities the power to block any content based on incredibly broad, vague criteria like social order. And third, it requires that all user data be stored and handed over to the government anytime they ask. In essence, total visibility and total control. And this approach, it isn't just limited to the internet gateway. A separate legal analysis of the draft cybersecurity law reached a very similar conclusion. It found that the law grants these overbroad powers to authorities without any kind of independent oversight, creating serious risks for both privacy and freedom of expression. You start to see a pattern. Which brings us right back to our central question. We've seen the bright, shiny vision of innovation and efficiency, but we've also just seen the architecture of surveillance and control being put into place, piece by piece. And this is the silent transaction that's at the heart of this entire debate. A system that offers to solve complex urban problems can, step by step, create a new, even more complex problem. A society where dissent becomes risky and privacy is just a memory. Efficiency can quietly replace freedom. So, as we see these technologies being rolled out, not just in Cambodia, but all around the world, we're left with a kind of critical lens we have to use. The next time any government or any corporation promises you a bright digital future, we have to ask the essential questions. Bright for whom? And safe for whom? Because the line between a digital paradise and a digital prison, it's often invisible from the outside. As one analysis warns, the difference only becomes clear once you're already inside the system, and the doors quietly lock behind you.